Hello. Hello, who have we got here tonight? So, yeah, I've been a little bit slow on the uploads recently. If anyone's been seeing seeing my community posts, I've actually been working on a new Commodore 64 video. So, the video I'm working on is pretty much rating all of my favourite childhood, or literally every childhood game I ever played. So, from say 1991 up until around 93. So when I started doing this, or even thinking about doing such a video, I didn't actually realise how many games I played as a kid. And I don't lie to myself, I've literally included every game in. At this point, there's likely over 100 different games, roughly. So if you don't know too much about Commodore 64, it's a very good video to watch, or it will be a good video to watch. Now, I actually put this on my community post a couple of hours ago that I was going to be releasing it tonight for 10:30. But editing it, doing voiceovers on it is just unprecedented. I've never done such a video all in one go. It's around an hour and 20 minutes long. Lots of research I've done on it. A lot's gone into this one, and I've got a dog in the background barking. If you're a familiar person who watches my live streams, you'll hear about this dog situation. Literally got a microphone right now which the council gave us to record it for noise pollution. It drives the neighbours up the wall. It prevents me from recording stuff as well, so we're dealing with that. But right now the dog's barking pretty loud. It's 9:45, and I literally can't voiceover anymore with that. So if you're waiting for that C64 video, it's not going to be released tonight. I've done likely around 80% of it, so without a doubt it'll be released tomorrow. But I've literally been working on this all day, and the dog has started barking in the last hour, and I've seriously had enough. I've stopping and starting recording voiceovers. So it'll be worth people's while watching that video once it releases. Like I say, for anyone new to C64, or you fancy some nostalgia, that video it's going to be very good. As we know, there's thousands and thousands of games in the 64 library from 1982 commercially to 94 or 93, 94. So lots in there to watch, and I guarantee you it's going to be worth your while waiting for that one if you're waiting for me to release. So yeah, literally not many uploads for the last couple of days because I've been putting all my efforts into this video. As soon as it's released, business as usual on my channel, and we'll be back to setup guides and long plays and everything else I do these days on the channel. So, who have we got here? Really, I started this stream because I just thought enough's enough of this noise. Can't do anything. Hello Mike, how you doing? Good to see you here. Thumbs up. So yeah, I just thought enough's enough. I've had enough of this dog barking. I've literally got a headache, and I thought I'd just do a live stream, just to explain myself why this video is taking so long to do. Not an easy task. Not an easy task. As a one-man band, as it were. Yeah. So yeah, didn't upload anything yesterday. Like I was saying, I was working on that video, and I've been just flat out. In personal life, I've been pretty busy. Yeah, just very busy times at the moment. So what did I last upload? We actually did a stream on Saturday for my son. Yeah, which tended to have a lot of views in that live Warhammer painting stream. So anyways, let's see. Thanks for the GameX tutorials. Hey, no worries, Mike. Pretty sure you supported me for doing those. Was that you? But I remember someone requested them, and I'm pretty sure it's you, Mike. Hello, Shades. Good to see you here, my man. How's it going? So, yeah, we done a live stream Saturday, which was sort of semi-successful, but in all fairness, people watching the content I upload, you're not really used to painting streams, but it kind of went okay. What else have I done recently? We have done Emulation Station, Desktop Edition, latest update video, which is currently at version 3.0.3. Also done quite a crude Ocean's Worst C64 games, which has actually been very popular, pretty popular. Reinstalled. Yeah, thanks for that, Mike. I always appreciate donations. I always appreciate it. Supports the channel, and like I always say, it really spurs me on to keep the channel going, and just makes me feel a little bit more appreciated, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see. Hey man, love the channel, very informative. No worries, young chef. Channel's been going for quite some time now. Don't know if you've heard what I was saying just a minute ago, but I'm actually making a probably what's going to be an hour and 20 minutes Commodore 64 video, all the favourite games or my entire collection I played originally back in 1991 to 93ish. Wasn't tedious at all. So batocera, so I'm taking it, possibly you've updated it and you've lost something. Yo Rasp, how's it going? So yeah, like I was saying, I've just thought I'd do a live stream just to tell people really I'm still alive, I've still got a pulse, and as Elton John might say, I'm still standing. Well, you know what, Rasp, I always say this on streams, but it's hard to judge, and it's always going to be hard to judge when to live stream because of time differences around the world. You know, even to date, if I take a look at analytics, my biggest audience is actually in the States. So obviously UK is just behind that. So yeah, it's just very hard to do it. Okay, let's take a look. Have you ran any Mugen on batocera? I've not personally done it, but I've actually done that one for retrobat. So to my knowledge, batocera is very similar to retrobat. It might be worth, since I've not done Mugen on batocera, it might be worth your while in checking out how it's done on retrobat. If you want, what I can actually do for you is, bear with me, I'll just quickly grab the link for Mugen for retrobat. As we know, retrobat and batocera are very similar in some ways. Okay, hello to Morocco. Okay, so the link I've just posted actually in the chat is for Mugen. This is retrobat's version, but like I say, batocera in some cases is very similar to retrobat. And since I've not done a batocera setup for Mugen, then it might be worth taking a look at that, and it might ring a bell. No worries, John. No worries. I enjoy doing it. I was just talking about a video I'm working on at the moment. I've literally been working on this one for 4 or 5 solid days. Totally underestimated it, but it's going to be all the C64 games ranked from my childhood. So a very big uh, part of happy life, times in life, was the early 90s. Commodore 64 was my first system, and I thought I've done a lot for the Commodore community in, say, the past 15 years. I've had a publishing label of my own. I'm always checking out new games and pretty much doing reviews and gameplay for coders of today. And I thought, let's actually do my favourite games, or the original games that I played. Hypermax, thoughts of Hypermax version 9. If that's the latest theme, I uploaded that one on my channel in the retrobat playlist to install that manually. Not sure if that was version 9, but yeah, in terms of being a theme, absolutely superb, one of the best out there. And I'm pretty sure that one was created by Scotty Retro, who does most of the best themes out there for things like retrobat and emulation station based front ends. Yeah, so Hypermax, absolutely superb. And if anyone's interested in seeing the Hypermax theme, you might have missed it. Let's check this out. Hypermax. I'm sure it was Hypermax I did. Retrobat, Hyper... No, that's Action Max. I have covered it, I'm sure. No. Where's it gone? Okay. That's weird. Hypermax version 9. Let's check this out. Version 9 theme. Hypermax Plus version 8. Okay. No, that's not mine. That's someone else's. That's a French video. Hypermax. I swear I uploaded that. I'm sure I did. Let's check it out. Where are we? YouTube. You know, I'm not losing the plot. I uploaded it. Hypermax. No, maybe I spelled it in 2 words. No, definitely not there. I must be losing the plot. Who knows? According to the X, I'm a head case in a Fruit Loop anyway, so doesn't really matter what I say, does it? Whose channel was that? So it looks like someone's channel got reported. Yeah, I'm not sure who got reported, but don't sound too good. Of course, the best way to do a healthy retro gaming emulation channel is don't provide links. Follow YouTube's policies and their rules, and you'll be fine. That's how it goes. Some things. Oh yeah, Scotty Retro. Got a feeling he mentioned that to me at some point, or somebody did. Yeah, so by the seams of it, was Scotty Retro. Could be then that my video could have been taken down because it was Scotty Retro being mentioned. I'm not sure. Okay, let's take a look at this question. We got Gary just there, 1974. Hello. So, just curious, what's the difference between Emulation Station, Retrobat? Because I've noticed they look very similar. Well, Gary, both of these are both based on Emulation Station. They're both pretty much the same. They pretty much do the same thing, but Retrobat supports more systems. Retrobat has been around a lot longer than the Emulation Station Desktop Edition. In terms of putting your own systems on, they pretty much both go in the same way. So it's just a case really of installing, popping your games into the ROMs folder and then respective system folder. That's pretty much it. I've covered Emulation Station Desktop Edition, or just known as ESDE, on my channel. I've actually got a playlist. Now, most people, and I'll say the most popular videos I do out of Emulation Station Desktop Edition and Retrobat is Retrobat. So, In terms of recommendations, in terms of maturity, I would go with retrobat. Having said that, Emulation Station, or just ESDE, is fairly new. It's still being updated, and it's a decent front end emulation system. Nothing wrong with it. But yeah, at this moment in time, I do believe retrobat supports much more. But that's not saying that ESD won't get further support for different systems over time. As I said, it's not as old as retrobat. You know what, Shade? It's likely that Scotty Retro could be on YouTube already with another channel. I don't know. It's personally, I've not really looked for him, but I suppose you could always Google Scotty Retro and maybe something might come up. I'm sure he's still around doing themes or whatever. Okay. So Gary, yeah, in terms of supporting different retro systems, at this moment in time, retrobat is supported more. Plus, I've done a hell of a lot more setup guides for retrobat than Emulation Station. By the view counts on my videos, retrobat by far is much more popular. So yeah, just go with retrobat, give it a go. In the current version of retrobat, it's currently version 6.2.1, and that new stable release came out around a month ago. So yeah, it's a fairly new release, and the retrobat team are updating it to new stable versions every 3, maybe 4 months. Hello there with the love heart faces. I'm not sure who you are, but I do see you comment on a lot of my videos with that love heart thing. I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure who you are, and I've said it before, I can't speak Arabic, so I really have no idea, but hello. Yes, and in terms of themes on retrobat, in most cases, and I've done a video on this, in most cases, a lot of Emulation Station themes are actually compatible with retrobat, because retrobat is pretty much running from Emulation Station. A new front-end system I actually discovered a few days ago, and I uploaded it. It's called Project Arcade. Surprisingly, in a few days, that video has had well over 2.2k views. I wasn't expecting it to be as popular as it is. That one's on version 1.6.0. Again, it's based on Emulation Station, so any front-end emulator based around Emulation Station, they're all pretty much compatible with each other. So, again, I've done tutorials, pretty sure in my retrobat playlist, how to manually add themes if you can't download them through retrobat. A Scotty Retro theme actually was called A Touch of Glass, and a couple of versions of retrobat back, you couldn't download it. It had a bit of a glitch with it inside of retrobat, so for that reason I did a tutorial how to actually do it yourself, and you can do it. It's just a case of downloading the theme, going into your Emulation Station directory, and then you'll find the Emulation Station folder, .emulation folder, and inside there you'll see the themes folder. Just drag and drop your themes inside that folder. Pretty easy. But yeah, Gary, in terms of retrobat, check out my playlist. I've got a lot of guides in there at this point, loads in fact. No worries. So, hello my friend, I follow you and I love everything you do on YouTube. So I'm always going to say this, and what I ask for is obviously support. Support to the channel for the efforts I put into my content. So what I'm going to do is just copy. Hello Donovan, I'm going to just copy and paste my PayPal support page. If you fancy donating to my channel, you know, anything like that, please use PayPal. It's a lot easier for my end. So if anyone wants to say thanks and support me, there's my PayPal. Bear with me a second, I'm just going to shut the door. It's all of a sudden decided to rain. so bear with me. Okie dokes, I am back. So yeah, just got the patio door open and laminate flooring's getting soaked. Hey more Richmond, hello, the best, just Jamie. Retro like manender. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm taking it, that's a good thing. Yeah, in the UK at the moment it's raining down south in up north, so it's pretty much widespread at the moment. Hello, Smooth Realism. How are you doing? We got a good audience tonight. 16 concurrent viewers. If anyone joins me here on Saturday, did Warhammer miniature painting, which was a little bit random, but yeah, people liked it. Well, some people did. Okay. So Retro Marine, yeah, I wouldn't fancy being in that climate. I don't like it when it reaches 35, 36 degrees in the UK, let alone 95. So rather you and me. I'm not a hot person. I'm a bit like a fish, really. A bit what was it? Cold-blooded? Is it cold-blooded? I'm not sure. So anyone who's just joined, if you've been watching my community posts, just be assured a Commodore 64 video I've been talking about for a few days is on its way. Dog a couple of doors down is prevented me from recording voiceovers. I've done most of it, around 80% is done, and I'm confident it's releasing tomorrow. I've just bit off a bit more than I could chew. Yeah, but it's going to be a well worth video watching. Okay, let's have a look. Gets to 49 centigrade here in Australia sometimes. Too hot. I've got family actually who lives in Australia, in Victoria, Melbourne, Victoria. And yeah, pretty much in Australia, what you consider to be a very cold winter state, we consider the hottest summer here in the UK. So when you think of bad weather, grey clouds, think Britain. That's what we're known for, moaning about our weather system because it's that bad. Okay, configure a controller. Bear with me a sec. Let's just catch up. Configuring controller for batocera. Last control input is for hotkey. What do you do if you run out of buttons? Okay, so I mentioned this, Mike, in quite a few of my initial setup guides. To bypass a button that you don't have, literally just holds down a button on your controller. So say you're going through the configuration process of setting up or mapping a controller. Let's say, for example, you've got 10 buttons on your controller, yet there's, say, for example, 20 mappings. To bypass a single mapping during configuring, literally press down on, say, for example, your A button for a few seconds, and it will skip. So bear with me, and if I can open up retrobat, I'll give you a little example. Have I got retrobat installed? Yes. I'll just grab my controller and I'll show you how to do it. And I'm going to catch up. So I got 24 terabyte hyperspin system, but I'm currently set up retrobat. I might need to go, is it possible to use games from hyperspin on retrobat? Yes. I can't see why not. So if you know where your folder is with your games on it, literally just go into that folder and drag and drop them into your retrobat folder. So long as retrobat supports the file extensions therein, it'll be fine. Okay, let me just show you how to do this. Let me just turn my Bluetooth on, which it appears to be on. Bear with me. And you know what, for some reason my Xbox controller is going mental, so I can't actually do it. Okay. Won't skip. Have you tried skipping it using a keyboard button rather than the controller? because normally it should skip, it should bypass that button that you don't want it to do. So if it doesn't do that, then I'm truly baffled why that would be. Wow, 24 terabyte, that's crazy. Yeah, that's very true. That's pretty sizable. I actually did a bit of a criticism video the other day. It was only a short video on rip-off preloaded retro gaming systems. I didn't know how well that one would go down, but surprisingly, a lot of people liked it. I gained a lot of subscribers, and it was pretty well received. And in that little short video of rip-off retro gaming systems, I came across a Raspberry Pi 4B. It wasn't, the SD card in there wasn't too big, but anyways, the seller wanted something ridiculous, like £490. I think the SD card was actually a 512 gigabyte. So yeah, I always say don't buy pre-configured systems unless you get it at a very cheap price. Okay, I might be able to buy the Lenovo Legion Go in the future. I kind of want that as an emulation device for Steam Deck. Yeah, that's fair enough. Personally, when I had a Steam Deck, I was running emulations. No, what was I running on Steam Deck? It was EmuDeck, which is obviously the go-to. There's also retrodeck on Steam Deck, which is a front end I've covered on the channel whilst I had a Steam Deck, and it's not talked about much. EmuDeck was very good on Steam Deck, very good. So yeah, really recommends that front end. 48 terabyte. I didn't even know you can get 48 terabyte drives. Yeah, I agree, John. Hyperspin. I actually did a community post the other day, and I was asking if people still finds it relevant. I just want to say thanks, Mike, for your donation. That's really nice of you. Cheers. Really appreciate that. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Yes, 48 terabyte. I didn't realise that was so couldn't get sizes that big for hard drives. How times have changed. So retrodeck. Like I say, retrodeck is a totally hid away front end. Here it is for Steam Deck, and it's again just like Emulation Station Desktop Edition. Retrodeck for Steam Deck is pretty much in its infancy, but it's fairly good. If anyone wants to watch the Steam Deck Retrodeck, I've just dropped the link to that. Yeah, and I'm going to just remind everyone as well, if anyone's using a Linux-based system, including Steam Deck, you can actually run Windows programs with a little program called Lutris. Lutris is an application, bit of software for Linux, and you can literally run executable files. So yeah, even if you've got Linux, Steam Deck's obviously based on Linux, you can actually do it. So yeah. Hello Mark, how's it doing? Good to see you here. So yeah, got some new people in here tonight. Got some regular people. So yes, I have Spectacular Emulator. I actually covered it in the early days, so it would be nice to play some 80s right now, but I can't. So what I'm actually going to do is do what I do a lot of. If someone asks me if I've done something, I always take you to, here it is, Spectaculator. This one I actually uploaded well over a year ago. And I'm going to just minimize this. A younger audience might be thinking, what the hell? So that was in the days when I did the setup guides using my video camera at the time. For some reason I stopped doing that. But anyways, there's the link for Spectaculator if anyone wants to watch that specky tutorial. There's actually better Spectrum emulators out there. I've done a fair few at this point. One of them, I think the last one I uploaded was called, literally the emulator was called Specky. Is this the one? Okay, so for today's setup guide, never heard of Spectaculator. There you go. Do you know there's a hell of a lot of ZX Spectrum emulators? One of my favourite YouTubers, Kim Justice, he actually did a little documentary on a particular ZX Spectrum emulator which was put together during a war. I think it was possibly Iraq, around that era, possibly. It was a very early emulator, but interesting. Which front end do you love to work with? Personally, I use launchbox from time to time. That's my preferred system. In terms of simplicity and as a freebie, I would say just go with retrobat. I think it's really a toss-up between retrobat and also Emulation Station desktop edition. Obviously on my channel you might see I upload a hell of a lot of different front ends, and that's simply because that's what my channel is about, retro emulation, including little obscure front ends no one's heard of, such as Project Arcade, which I did a few days ago. I've covered an unbelievable amount of front ends and emulators, which a lot of people didn't even realise existed, and there's still plenty more to go. So yeah, I've not uploaded as much for the last couple of days because of the C64 video I'm currently working on, which I'm going to be releasing tomorrow. 80% of the way through it. It's just a long process of editing this one. Okay, PS3 emulation is such a pain to set up. Do you think RPCS3 will ever be about to run ISOs? So Gary, what I've done in the past with my own PlayStation 3 discs is pretty much write them or rip them, and I convert them into JB format, and it's just a case then of using excuse me, just a case then of installing RPCS3, installing the firmware, and then installing your games. Now again, just like most other things, the most recent guide for RPCS3 is a standalone one. It's just here. Now, link I'm going to put in is going to take you to that RPCS3 setup guide, standalone guide. I've also covered RPCS3 for batocera, retrobat, pretty much every front end I've covered it. Let's just remind ourselves, PlayStation 3 emulation wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't ever meant to happen because it was such a complex system to pretty much reverse engineer. So it gets better and better and better, and it's a great emulator for upscaling games. Just remember, for RPCS3 you really do need to have some top specs in terms of computer use. Is there a C64 emulator that has got Commodore 16 in it? Yes, it does. This is going to be one of the best Commodore 64 emulators, which is Vice. Commodore 64. And here you go. So this is also known as WinVice. Vice is likely the biggest and most known C64 emulator. It's been around for at least 20 years. Very matured, very versatile when it supports all the Commodore 8-bits. So Commodore 16, Commodore Plus 4, 64, VIC-20. It's got lots in there. Just watch the video and you'll come to a bin folder, and it's in your bin folder in that download. That's where your different versions of Vice are. So yeah, it's got different executables to open per 8-bit Commodore system. And yeah, if you're not familiar, Mark, with recent games for Commodore 16, Commodore Plus 4, there's been some superb homebrew games, including Turbo Outrun for the Plus 4, which was it was almost like a C64 game. It was incredible. The sound on it sounded like a SID chip. So Coinot builds are mainly built from either a tracked mode or retro FE really. So follow my guides for retro FE. I've not actually added PS3 to it, but the principle of it would literally just be using notepads to tell it directories, that type of thing, which isn't that difficult, I don't think. Favourite C64 demo. So I've uploaded a lot of C64 demos in the past, and you know, it depends really what sort of era. I mean, obviously you've got the classic C64 original commercial era from 1982 to around 93, 94, and then you've got the homebrew era. So it's very hard to sort of say which is my favourite in that sense. I mean, demos are literally released every day. There's so many of them. So many I can't actually keep up. If you go to Commodore Scene Database or CSDB, you'll literally find on there a ridiculous amount of demos every day being uploaded. Yeah, so last time I really looked into demos, it was at the end of 2023 where I uploaded the best demos of 2023. Okay, BC Bill Rambo was fun. C64 Rambo, yeah. Never had Rambo First Blood Part 2, but I had Rambo 3. And I always say, as much as Rambo 3, the film, wasn't as good as the first two Rambo films, I think the game on the Commodore 64 made up for it in that way, especially the music, which was, yeah, pretty special stuff. Do you know, oddly enough, never thought about this before, but you've got a lot of films from the 80s, and even 70s and 60s would say The Great Escape, but you've got a lot of these popular films of the day being converted into games for microcomputers, but to my knowledge there was never a Rocky game for 8-bit micros. Yeah, Ocean Loader. Any C64 game knows that Ocean Loaders was a big part of the game itself. What was more important, the gameplay or the music? Because I struggle with that myself. It's like, what is it I like about the Commodore 64 games? Is it the music? Musicians like Jonathan Dunn, Jerome Tell, absolutely superb. Superb SID musicians, absolutely superb. Where do you get WinVice? WinVice, or it's just known as Vice. It's actually in the description of the link I just sent you. Yeah, I think at a young age, C64 music, I think it holds a lot more memories than maybe games themselves. If you're a person who's just got into Commodore 64, you don't know anything about it, I think it's very unlikely you would love the sounds of the SID chip. You'd likely just find it as an irritating noise. I think it's definitely one of those things you would have appreciated at a young age, just like myself. You know, if I let my partner listen to Commodore music, it just says it's a noise. And I understand now, I can see where that's coming from, so it's a very specific type of person which appreciates SID music, I think. Is there any system that you like that doesn't have an emulator? No, I don't think there is. I mean, we've got the, well, coming on to the next generation now, because PS5 is actually, what, 4 or 5 years old? So we're technically due a new generation. But pretty much everything's been emulated. You know, we've even got PS4 emulators. They're right at their beginnings, but they're in progress, and there are several. Personally, my last favourite system was pretty much, I'd say, the PlayStation 3. PS4 in that era and the era we're in right now, I'm not so fond of. So really anything up to the PlayStation 3 has literally been emulated. So there you go. We're talking computers from the 70s up until the PS3 era. Everything's been emulated pretty much. Xbox One. I don't think it has. Every now and again I will look if there's any developments for Xbox One emulation, and I really don't think there has been. I think the closest you'll get to emulation in Xbox One is literally putting emulators on the Xbox One. Yeah, so I'd say no. No problems, Mark. Which Sega emulators are you referring to? Because, of course, Sega emulation-wise, we got Sega Naomi, Sega Model 2 and 3, Mega Drive, Saturn, Dreamcast, Master System, Game Gear, Sega 32X. I'm pretty sure batocera has most of those. There is the Xbox 360 emulator. Again, I've covered that, and it's called Xenia. And I've also done the 360 setup guide for retrobat, and I think I've covered it for another front end as well. Xenia. Let's have a look. Yeah, I've covered it. Xenia 360 as a standalone, as well as the retrobat setup. Xenia. So here we go. Kega. And funny enough, one of my early uploads was actually the Kega Fusion standalone emulator. So link I just posted, that's for the Xbox 360 Xenia emulator setup, if anyone's interested in that one. And yeah. Okay, so my computer can play Xbox 360. Right, Fallout games, their faces were missing. Sounds like a rendering problem. So firstly, is the Dell Octoplex you're using sort of like, is the specs okay on it? Or firstly, with emulating things like 360 and PlayStation 3, you need to make sure your GPU, your CPU, even your RAM are pretty high. If you're trying to emulate sort of games, anything from the PS3 era, you're going to need something fairly substantial in terms of GPU and CPU. There's another reason faces are missing, is that the Xenia emulator possibly doesn't fully support that through its compatibility at the moment, so that's a possibility. Yeah, of course, we've also got Sega Hikuru as well, which was another pretty much arcade motherboard by Sega, which I've also covered for retrobat. And Chihiro. Now, Chihiro's an interesting one. I've not actually covered this yet, but it is a thing. And my mum is literally just asked me if I want to see Paul McCartney. So let's have a look. Paul McCartney is touring here. Now, there's any Paul McCartney fans here. I actually seen him in Birmingham, England, Birmingham, about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and absolutely superb. But we won't be. Manchester and London. We'll go to Manchester, I think. Oh, I don't know. Should I go and see McCartney or no? I just don't. You know what, people? I just told my mum I'm on a live stream. There she is telling me something like this. It's very exciting stuff. Is there a setup for batocera? Which system shade? Uh, yeah, I see. Like just said, I saw him. Let's see, what are we on 2024? It could have been. It could have been around 2009. It was on the Out There tour. He played for what 3 hours, and it was amazing, like properly amazing. We even seen Paul McCartney whilst waiting outside of the Birmingham NEC, where we seen him. And you know what? Fair play to McCartney. At his age, you know, he sounds pretty damn good. What is he in his oh, possibly late 80s, early 90s? So yeah, fair play to him. But I'm just literally texting him. I am live. Text. Right, I'm going to be going for a few minutes. I need to talk to my mum about Paul McCartney. This is very important, and obviously McCartney is aging a little bit, so if I got the opportunity to see him again, that'd be pretty good. So I'm going to be back in a few minutes.